Can you ever truly know the person you share your life with? The person you build a home with, raise a child with, and trust with your future? Today, we're talking to a man who discovered the devastating answer to that question. He came home from a business trip, ready to surprise his family, only to find the locks changed, his house sold, his bank accounts drained, and his wife and daughter gone. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a story about a man who was systematically erased and his fight to reclaim his life from the rubble. James, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's
Still hard to talk about. I can only imagine. Let's start at the moment everything changed. You're coming home to Austin, Texas after a long trip. Take us there.
Yeah, I just spent what felt like an eternity in the air. It was a 16-hour marathon of flights and connections, hurtling through the dark all the way from Shanghai. My body was a complete wreck, just a time zone shattered mess. But my mind was laser focused. I was just picturing one thing, the look on Olivia's face when I finally walked through that door.
How long had you been gone?
3 weeks. It was the longest we'd ever been apart. It was this grueling, high-stakes trip to close a career-making deal for my tech firm. Every single second over there was fueled by the thought of coming home to her, to our daughter, Lily, and to the house we had poured our souls into.
And this house, it was more than just a house to you.
It was everything. I remember smiling in the back of the Uber, watching the quiet suburban streets of Round Rock slide past the window. I had the keys clutched in my hand and they felt heavier than they should, you know? This wasn't just a building. It was a promise. A promise I built with the last of my parents' inheritance when they died in an accident. It was built with 5 years of my own sweat, my bonuses, my life savings. It was where our 8-year-old daughter Lily learned to swim in the backyard pool, where I'd painted her bedroom walls a perfect shade of pink myself. It was our forever. So you get out of the Uber, you walk up to the door. I paid the driver, grabbed my bags, and I practically ran up the walkway. The first thing I noticed was the porch light was off. It was strange. I just figured Olivia was asleep, that she'd forgotten. I slid the key into the lock, and it just stopped. With this jarring metallic thud, it wouldn't turn. Your own key. My own key. I tried again. Nothing. A cold knot started twisting in my stomach. I was fumbling for the second key on my ring. My hand was shaking by this point. It wouldn't even go in all the way. And then suddenly, the porch light flickered on, and the door creaked open. But the person standing there? It wasn't Olivia. It was a man I'd never seen in my life, and he was looking at me with this bizarre mix of confusion and pity. And behind him, our living room was a hollow, echoing cavern. It was empty. Completely empty. He told me the house was sold, the bank account was empty, and my wife was gone. This is the story of how I discovered the woman I married never really existed.
James, to understand the depth of that betrayal, we need to understand what was stolen. Before all of this, tell us about the life you and Olivia built together.
Before the silence, before the empty rooms and the stranger in my doorway, there was a life so vibrant that the memory of it now feels like a cruel joke. I met Olivia 10 years ago at a little coffee shop in downtown Austin. I was just a junior sales guy at a tech company, full of ambition but still pretty green. She was radiant. She had this laugh that could just fill a room, a way of making you feel like you were the only person in it. It sounds like you fell for her pretty fast. Hard and fast. Our life together felt like the American dream playing out in real time. We got married, rented a small apartment, saved every penny we could. We'd spend our nights just talking about the future, and the centerpiece of that future was always the house, a home of our own, with a yard for a dog and someday a child. And the down payment for that house came from a very personal place. Yeah, when my parents died in a car wreck, it left a hole in my life I thought would never heal. They left me an inheritance. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was enough for a down payment. It was their legacy. It was the last piece of them I had. Olivia and I found the house in Round Rock, a quiet, family-friendly suburb. It wasn't perfect, it needed work, but it had good bones. 4 bedrooms, a big kitchen, and a backyard with a pool that was just begging for summer barbecues. It was an $850,000 dream we were going to make real. So her inheritance was the foundation. It was the foundation, but the house was built on my back. Every promotion, every bonus, every late night I stayed at the office was poured into that mortgage, into the renovations. I built the deck in the backyard with my own 2 hands, the same way my dad had taught me. Olivia was the one who made it home. She had an amazing eye for design, picking the colors, the furniture. She chose the spot for the garden where she said she'd plant tomatoes every year. It was our joint project, our masterpiece.
Then your daughter, Lily, came along.
Then came Lily. She was the light of our lives, the final, perfect piece. And the house just transformed. It went from a structure of wood and nails to her kingdom. I remember watching her take her first steps on the living room rug that Olivia had picked out. I remember teaching her to ride her bike on our street, the neighbors waving as we wobbled past. And I remember the day we painted her room. She wanted pink, a very specific, vibrant pink. We spent a whole Saturday covered in paint, laughing as we rolled it onto the walls. We hung glow-in-the-dark stars on her ceiling, and she would lie in her bed at night, pointing them out to me. That room, more than any other part of the house, was sacred. It was a safe harbor I had built just for her.
At the same time, your career was taking off, which led to this Shanghai trip.
Exactly. I was good at my job, and I was driven. Driven by the mortgage, sure, but more by wanting to give Olivia and Lily everything they could ever want. When the Shanghai deal came up, it was a huge opportunity. 3 weeks on the other side of the world negotiating with a key client. The time difference was brutal, but the commission from this one deal would pay off a massive chunk of our mortgage. It meant security. It meant a college fund for Lily that was untouchable. It meant everything.
Was Olivia supportive of you going?
Completely. I talked it over with her, and she was my biggest cheerleader. "You have to go, James," she said, her hand on my cheek. "This is for us, for our future. We'll be fine. Lily and I will have a girls' fest. We'll miss you like crazy, but we'll be so proud." She smiled that smile that always melted me. Looking back now, it's chilling, but at the time, there wasn't a hint of doubt, not a flicker of deception in her eyes.
So you left feeling like you were doing this for them?
100%. I hugged her and Lily, promising panda souvenirs and 1,000 stories. The night before I left, Lily made me promise that her favorite stuffed animal, a worn-out teddy bear named Mr. Bear, would be safe. I tucked him into her bed and told her that he was on guard duty. The 3 weeks in Shanghai were a blur of work. I'd call at my midnight just to catch Lily before her bedtime. I'd hear her sleepy voice telling me about her day. Olivia would get on the phone, her voice maybe a little distant, but I just chalked it up to the connection. She always said the same thing. "Everything's fine, James. Just busy with Lily. We miss you. Hurry home." And I believed her. Every word. Why wouldn't I? This was the life we had built. This was the woman I loved. I was working to secure our future, never once suspecting that she was at home, methodically and with chilling precision, erasing it completely.
James, let's go back to that moment at the front door. A stranger, Todd Morrison, has just opened it and told you he's the new owner. What goes through your mind? How do you even process that?
You don't. It's like your brain just short circuits. Those first few moments are a blur. His wife, Jennifer, a teacher, appeared behind him, her face etched with concern. They were the new owners, my new owners. Todd kept saying, "Can we help you?" His voice gentle but firm. I think I just stood there, speechless, the keys feeling like useless pieces of scrap metal in my hand. My brain couldn't catch up to the words, new owners.
Did they have proof?
They showed me a sheaf of papers, closing documents, a deed with my name on it, and a signature that looked disturbingly like my own. My mind was just racing. Is this a prank? A bizarre, cruel joke? A mistake? I pushed past them, not aggressively, but with this desperate need to see for myself.
And what did you see?
A void. The living room was just a void. The wedding photos were still on the wall, like ghostly relics of a life that had been there just hours before. But the couches, the coffee table, Lily's toy chest, all gone. I walked through the house, and each empty room was a physical punch to the gut. The kitchen, our bedroom, and finally Lily's room. Her pink walls were bare. The bed was stripped. In a corner, a few half-packed boxes were stacked, and sitting on top of one was a single, small unicorn rug. That's it, and I broke. I just collapsed right there on the floor of my daughter's empty room. I just completely fell apart.
And the Morrisons, the new owners, what did they do?
They were kind, salt of the earth. They saw the raw, primal shock on my face, and their suspicion just melted away into sympathy. They let me use their phone. I called Olivia, straight to voicemail. I tried again, voicemail. My blood ran cold. The first sane thought I had was Lily. I called her school. The secretary confirmed she was there, safe. The relief was so intense my knees almost buckled again. I mumbled my thanks to the Morrisons and drove to the school on complete autopilot.
Seeing Lily must have been the only thing that felt real.
It was the only real thing in a world that had tilted sideways. She ran out and jumped into my arms. "Daddy," she squealed, "I missed you. Mommy said we're moving to a condo."
A condo? So your 8-year-old daughter knew more than you did?
A condo? The word hit me like a slap. My little girl knew more about the demolition of my life than I did. I tried to keep my voice steady for her sake. "She did, sweetie? When?" She told me a little while ago. The moving men came. They put Mr. Bear in a box, and her little lips started to tremble. Mr. Bear, the one I promised would be on guard duty. I hugged her so tight, my own panic just rising and rising. We drove to Olivia's sister's house. No answer. I called my best friend, Tom. I just said, "Tom, something's wrong. Something is terribly, terribly wrong."
And then Olivia finally called you.
As I was trying to explain this impossible situation to Tom, my phone finally rang. It was her. Her voice was flat, empty, a complete stranger's voice. She just said, "James, calm down."
Calm down?
That's what I said. Calm down. Olivia, what is going on? The house is sold. There are people living in our house. Where are you? There was this long pause, and then she said the words that will haunt me for the rest of my life. "I sold it, James. It's done. Jake needed help."
Jake, her brother.
Her baby brother, the golden child with a bottomless pit of problems, a gambling addict who'd been in and out of debt his whole life. We'd bailed him out before, years ago, maxing out our credit cards to cover his Vegas losses. I'd put my foot down last time. I told her, "Never again, Olivia. We have a daughter. We have a mortgage. We are not his personal ATM." And she had agreed. She looked me in the eye and agreed.
So to hear his name in this context,
I just whispered, my voice cracking, "Jake? You sold our house for Jake?" She said, "He was in real trouble, James. $250,000. She stated the number like it was the price of groceries. "You were always working anyway, obsessed with that house, that job. You wouldn't have understood. It's just a house."
just a house.
Just a house. The words just echoed in my skull. This wasn't a conversation, it was a verdict. And then the line went dead.
My God. So what did you do? You have your daughter, you have no home, no money.
Tom took us in, my friend Tom. He and his wife gave us their basement. That night, Lily clutched the panda I'd brought her from Shanghai, her eyes just wide with confusion. She kept asking, "Why did Mommy lie, Daddy? Where's Mr. Bear?" I had no answers. I just held her while she cried herself to sleep, trembling with a rage so profound it felt like it would tear me apart. After she was asleep, I went online and logged into our joint bank account.
What was left?
Balance $17.38. I scrolled through the history. A wire transfer for the sale of the house had come in, just over $900,000, and then a series of huge cash withdrawals. $50,000, $100,000, another $100,000, all within 3 days. A total of $300,000 just vanished into cash. The rest was gone too, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. She had drained everything. 10 years of marriage, 5 years of work, a lifetime of dreams liquidated and stolen in a few weeks.
And it gets worse. You talk to your neighbor.
The next day, I talked to my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Garcia. She looked ashamed. She couldn't even look me in the eye. She said, "James, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. Olivia said you were selling quietly to avoid the hassle." And then she told me that Olivia had given her $500 for the inconvenience of the moving trucks and to not bother me in Shanghai with questions.
She bribed your neighbor?
She bribed our neighbor to stay silent. The premeditation was terrifying. This wasn't some desperate act to help her brother. This was a cold-blooded, calculated heist. She had planned every single step. She had used the very trip that was meant to secure our family's future as the perfect cover to dismantle it piece by piece. She hadn't just left me, she had erased me.
James, you're in your friend's basement. Your life has been completely detonated. Despair is an understandable reaction. How do you go from that to fighting back?
Despair paralyzes you. For 2 days, I was just a ghost in Tom's basement, going through the motions, just enough to make sure Lily was fed and felt as safe as possible. The betrayal was just too big to even comprehend. But then I was watching Lily. She was trying to draw a picture of our old house, her little face scrunched up in concentration, and something inside me just shifted. The despair curdled into this hard, cold resolve. Olivia thought she could just vanish and leave me in the rubble. She mistook my love for weakness. She was dead wrong.
So what was the first step?
I called a lawyer, an old college friend named Ramirez, who specialized in real estate law. The story just tumbled out in a torrent of anger and disbelief. When I was done, the silence on his end was heavy. He finally said, "James, this is bad. In Texas, a spouse can't sell community property, like a house, without the other's consent. But you said your signature was on the deed." I screamed into the phone, "It's a forgery! A perfect one, but it's not mine!" He told me that if the title company has a notarized deed with what looks like a valid signature, the sale is presumptively valid. Undoing it wasn't going to be simple.
So even the law wasn't an easy path.
Not at all. I talked to 2 other attorneys. They saw a messy, expensive case they didn't want. Every door was just slamming in my face. That night, Tom sat down with me. He looked me in the eye and said, "Don't you dare give up, James. She's counting on you to roll over, to be too broken to fight. You have to fight dirty. You have to think like she did. You have to become a detective."
He lit a fire under you.
He did. The next morning, I took the last of my savings and hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Hewitt. I gave him every piece of information I had. While Hewitt started digging into Olivia and Jake, I started my own investigation. The Morrisons, God bless them, gave me a copy of the original real estate listing agreement for the house, and there it was, in black and white. What did you find? The date. The date the house was listed for sale with the realtor, a woman named Tanya Reeves, March 15th. I had left for Shanghai on March 22nd. She had listed our home for sale a full week before I was even on the plane. The rage that filled me was so pure it was clarifying. This wasn't just Olivia, this was a conspiracy.
And the PI, Hewitt, found something too.
He called 2 days later. He said, "Got something. Your brother-in-law, Jake, isn't just a gambler. He owes money all over Vegas." He emailed me a file. It was a string of text messages he'd recovered, sent between Olivia and Jake in the days leading up to my trip. Can you share what they said? It was sickening. The first one was from Jake. "Sis, I'm dead. They're going to break my legs. I need $250K now." Olivia replied, "I'm working on it. James's Shanghai trip is a go. This is our window." Jake texted back, "The house? Are you serious? He'll kill you." And Olivia's reply, "He won't know until it's over. I've got Tanya on board. Just be ready." Tanya, the realtor. So she was in on it. She was in on it. And the final message from Jake, sent the day the sale closed. "Sis, you're a lifesaver. High roller suite booked. You're a legend." A legend. She'd destroyed her family, stolen her child's home, and to her degenerate brother, she was a legend. I felt physically sick.
But even with those texts, your lawyer said it wasn't a slam dunk.
No, Ramirez said we needed to prove the realtor, Tanya Reeves, was a willing participant in the fraud. The texts helped, but he said we needed more. We need to subpoena her emails, he said. It's a long shot, a fishing expedition, but it's the only shot we have.
And while you're waiting for this legal battle to play out, Olivia reappears.
She showed up at Tom's house while I was at work. Tom, my fortress, didn't let her in. He had Lily speak to her through the screen door. I came home to find my daughter in tears. She sobbed, "Mommy looks different." She said she missed me, but she looked angry. She said you were being mean and trying to steal her money. She was trying to poison your daughter against you. And then she delivered the final twist of the knife. She had the audacity to say to Tom, "Tell James I'll need spousal and child support. He's the one with the big job." That was it. That was the moment. The last shred of any past feeling I had for her, any memory of the woman I loved, it just vanished. This wasn't a person. This was pure evil. No remorse, just entitlement.
And the subpoena came through.
A week later, Ramirez called and his voice was electric. He just said, "We got them, James. We got the emails." I raced to his office. He had pages printed out, a timeline of corruption, emails between Tanya Reeves and Olivia that laid the entire conspiracy bare.
What did they say?
It was everything. Tanya to Olivia. "Olivia, the paperwork is ready, but we need James's signature on the deed transfer. It will need to be notarized." Olivia's reply, "He leaves on the 22nd. I'll have it for you on the 23rd. He trusts me completely." Then Tanya asks, "And you're sure he's unreachable in China? What if he contests?" And Olivia's email, the one that sealed her fate, "He's in back-to-back meetings. By the time he even thinks to check, the money will be wired and the sale will be done. He won't contest. He'll be too busy picking up the pieces."
He'll be too busy picking up the pieces.
It was hard, undeniable proof. Cold-blooded. Ramirez explained that under Texas law, a transfer made with the intent to fraud a co-owner is voidable, and forgery of a deed is a state jail felony. We had them. We had Tanya the realtor, we had Olivia, and we had the whole sordid plot in their own words. The detective work was done. Now it was time for war.
So the stage is set for a courtroom battle. How were you feeling walking into that courthouse? Was it about revenge? Justice?
The confrontation wasn't some dramatic, rain-soaked screaming match. The woman I knew was gone, replaced by a cold stranger. The only confrontation that mattered now would happen in that sterile courtroom. The hearing was May 1st. I walked into the Travis County Courthouse feeling this strange mix of sheer terror and righteous fury. Before I went in, I took out my wallet and looked at the picture of Lily I keep in there, and my resolve just hardened into steel. This was for her.
What was it like seeing Olivia again in that setting?
She was there, sitting next to Jake. She wore a pristine white blazer, trying to look like some kind of angel of innocence. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She just stared straight ahead, and she had this faint, smug smirk on her lips that just screamed, "You can't touch me." Ramirez leaned over to me and said, "Just tell the truth, James. The evidence will do the rest."
And you called a stand.
My heart was hammering against my ribs. I took the oath and looked at the judge, an older woman with sharp, intelligent eyes. I started from the beginning. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, though my voice broke a few times. I talked about my parents' inheritance, the years of work, the dream of that house. I painted my daughter's room pink. I held up a picture of our house, the one we built. This wasn't just property, Your Honor. This was my parents' legacy. It was my daughter's stability. It was the future my wife and I were supposed to build together. A future she sold for a poker debt.
And then Ramirez laid out the evidence.
He built the case brick by brick. He presented the listing agreement dated a week before I even left the country. He presented the bank record showing the account being drained. He presented the text messages between Olivia and Jake. And with each piece of evidence, I could see the smirk on Olivia's face begin to fade. Jake was sweating. His face was ashen.
And the emails were the final blow.
They were the finale. Ramirez projected the emails between Tanya Reeves and Olivia onto the large screen in the courtroom. The words just hung there in the air, a digital confession for everyone to see. He won't contest. He'll be too busy picking up the pieces. A gasp went through the courtroom. The judge read the emails on her monitor, and her expression turned from neutral to stone. She looked from the screen directly at Olivia, and for the first time, Olivia looked terrified.
What was her defense?
Ramirez addressed the court. Your Honor, this is a clear case of fraudulent conveyance, a conspiracy to defraud my client through felony forgery. Under Texas Property Code, a forged deed is void ab initio. It has no legal effect. The judge looked at Olivia's attorney. Do you have a response to this? The slick lawyer stood up, stammering, Your Honor, my client was under duress. The judge cut him off right there. The evidence suggests calculated, premeditated fraud. The court finds that the sale of the property was the result of a fraudulent conveyance based on a forged instrument. Therefore, the sale is reversed. The deed is void.
The sale was reversed.
You won. A sound escaped from Olivia's throat, this strangled sob of pure rage. No! She screamed, standing up so fast her chair screeched back across the floor. She pointed at me, her face contorted. You bastard! It was my house too! You were never home! Two bailiffs started moving towards her as the judge banged her gavel, shouting, Order! Order in this court! And her brother Jake? As the bailiffs took Olivia's arm, Jake completely crumbled. He shot up from his seat, pointing at his own sister. It was her idea, he blurted out. She planned it all. She hated his success. She said it was time she got hers. The courtroom just erupted. As the bailiffs were escorting a hysterical Olivia from the room, two Austin police officers stepped forward. They informed Olivia and Jake they were being arrested on charges of forgery and theft of property over $300,000. The cuffs clicked shut. I just sat there, watching the wreckage of my marriage being hauled away. There was no triumph. There was no joy. Just a profound, bone-deep exhaustion and the quiet realization that it was finally over.
James's world was systematically destroyed by the person he trusted most. He fought back and won in court, but as he just said, the fight was far from over. The legal victory was just the beginning.
The journey to reclaim not just my property, but my life and my daughter's sense of security was a marathon. If you want to understand what it truly takes to fight back when your trust has been shattered and you feel like you have nothing left, subscribe and follow my story. Because putting the pieces back together is the hardest part, and that journey is far from over.
So, James avoids the sale, Olivia and Jake are arrested. In the movies, that's where the credits roll. But in real life, the mess is still there. What happened next?
The weeks after the hearing were a blur. The judge's ruling was the victory I needed, but untangling the web Olivia had spun was a whole other battle. The Morrisons, the family who bought the house, they were victims in this too, and they were just incredible. They had to move out, their own dreams snatched away by this fraud. They got their full purchase price back and then some, mostly from massive settlements paid by the realtor's insurance and the title company who had failed to catch the forgery.
And what about the realtor, Tanya Reeves?
She lost her license and faced her own legal troubles. The final settlement, after all the legal fees and everything, was just over $1.2 million. It felt like blood money. It represented the complete destruction of my family.
What happened to Olivia and Jake?
Olivia was sentenced to 5 years, but most of it was probated, conditional on her paying restitution, which is money she didn't have and probably never will. Jake got 3 years with a similar deal. I haven't seen or heard from either of them since that day in court. They're just ghosts from a life that no longer exists.
Did you and Lily move back into the house?
We couldn't. I thought about it, but the house felt tainted. The good memories were still there, but now they were layered with betrayal. Every time I walked into Lily's pink room, I didn't see us laughing and painting. I saw it empty and hollowed out. I saw myself collapsing on the floor. We couldn't go back. So I sold it to a new family, and I genuinely wished them better luck than we had.
So you used that money to make a fresh start.
A complete fresh start. With the money, we found a new beginning in Cedar Park, a little further out. We bought a house that was a little bigger, with more land, enough for a horse, which was always a silly dream of Lily's. The day we moved in, I took Lily out to the backyard. It was a beautiful evening. Standing there, she slipped her small hand into mine. She said, "Daddy, this house is better." I knelt down to her level and I asked her, "It is? Why's that, sweetie?" And she looked me right in the eye, my 8-year-old daughter with this wisdom that no kid should ever have to possess. And she said, "Because this is our house and the bad guys lost."
Wow.
Yeah, she was right. The bad guys had lost, and in that single moment, I knew we were going to be okay. The pain of the betrayal, it will probably never fade completely. It's a scar. It's a scar I'll carry forever, a reminder of how quickly a life can be upended. But scars are also a sign of healing. They show that a wound, no matter how deep, can close.
What are the lessons you take away from all this?
I learned some hard lessons. I learned you can share a bed, a home, and a child with someone and not truly know them at all. I learned that the law can be slow and frustrating, but that truth, when it's armed with undeniable evidence, can win. But most of all, I learned that a father's love for a child is a force of nature. It's powerful enough to pull you from the deepest, darkest abyss and give you a reason to fight when you have nothing left.
And I hear there's a new member of your family now?
We have a pony now. Lily named it Hope. And every morning when I see my daughter out there brushing its mane, her laughter echoing in the Texas sun, I'm reminded that futures aren't stolen. They aren't something that can be taken from you forever. They are rebuilt, brick by brick, day by day. And our future, Lily's and mine, is just getting started.